Welcome to Trimming and Harvesting. We will provide a general overview of the trimming and harvesting side of the commercial cannabis industry. Depending on which state you're working in, rules and regulations vary. Some states require certain credentials to work in a cannabis facility. Many marijuana-related positions could require a badge to work in the industry around plants or plant product. It is imperative that you do not forget your badge if your state requires it. Anything taken from any facility that was not initially brought into that facility is considered stealing, such as taking supplies, plant matter, scissors or finger hash, etc. What to wear when on the job. For safety purposes, clothing should not be too loose. No cargo pants with large pockets. No open-toed shoes. No large sweatshirts or hoodies. You may dress casually and comfortably, but be ready to get dirty. A t-shirt and jeans will suffice. Long sleeves are encouraged, as well as sunglasses. Hair ties and hats are also recommended. You could be asked to wear a hairnet and/or beard net. Be aware, cannabis will get on your clothes and can damage them, so plan accordingly. Some facilities require you to change upon entry. If this happens, they will supply the change of clothes. Make sure all clothes are washed the evening prior to work to avoid cross-contamination. Cross-contamination is the process by which pests, bacteria, and/or other microorganisms are unintentionally transferred from one substance or location to another with harmful effect. This can contaminate an entire grow with as little as one incident. Personal hygiene is a must. It is imperative to wash your body and clothes daily. Gloves must be worn at all times when touching live plants. Non-tolerated activities. First and foremost, we are cannabis professionals and will refrain from consumption of any kind until off of work. There is absolutely no consumption or ingesting of drugs and/or alcohol on site at any dispensary or grow facility. Each and every facility is under heavy surveillance and all actions are recorded. Any violators will be charged to the fullest extent of the law. Anyone jeopardizing compliance will be terminated immediately. Ingesting or consuming any form of cannabis on-site is illegal and not tolerated. Tools you will need on the job. Med badge, depending on state requirements. Shears or scissors, gloves, alcohol pads, razor blade, mask, optional, safety glasses, optional, band-aids, first aid kit, headphones, earplugs, optional. Becoming familiar and comfortable in a commercial grow. Each facility has the responsibility, by law, while the product is in their custody, to report weights throughout the plant's life cycle. These tags are required for all plants, whether medical or recreational. Sativa plants versus indica plants. Sativa. The high from sativa-dominant strains are often described as uplifting and energetic. These are great for morning, daytime use, and a favorite for medicinal users with depression and lack of appetite. Sativa plants can grow upwards of 25 feet tall, but most stay under 12 feet. It has bright green fan leaves, and the leaves are usually long and thin. Sativa strains are known to stretch for the nearest light source, making them ideal for commercial environments with high ceilings or outdoor greenhouses. Indica. Indica plants originate from Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, and the surrounding areas. The high from a quality indica strain will leave you relaxed and stress-free. The stronger varieties will numb your body and put you to sleep. Indica-dominant strains are usually short and under 6 feet. Characteristically, fan leaves will be fat, deep, and dark green. Flowering time is generally much faster than sativa plants. The opposite of a sativa strain, plants generally grow bushier and stout with dense bud formations. Hybrid. Hybrid strains contain a mix of sativa and indica genetics and, depending on their lineage, can take on characteristics from both strain families. Professional harvesting. Terminology to be familiar with in a cannabis commercial facility. Fan leaves. Filled with flavor, resin, and other phytonutrients, cannabis fan leaves are the large primary leaves of the plant. The small leaves that poke out of the cola are called the sugar leaves. Sugar leaves. Sweet leaf. These are the leaves that are closer to the bud site, cola, that form in the flowering stage. The smaller leaves predominantly covered in trichomes and resin that look like a dusting of sugar. Trichomes. The resinous glands that form on a cannabis plant come in 3 basic varieties. They look like tiny crystal-like hairs that cover all parts of the bud, from the interior stems to the surrounding leaves that contain THC. Bulbous. Smallest type of resin gland. The head secretes cannabinoids resin. Capitate sessile. Largest gland that is more numerous than bulbous glands. They have globular-shaped heads. These cells secrete cannabinoids and related compounds in a spherical shape. Capitate stalked. These glands are the most abundant. They appear during flowering, are very dense, and cover the female flower bracts. They are highly concentrated on the small leaves that accompany the flowers. Male plants have these as well, but the females are more concentrated. Pistils. Pistils are the female reproductive organs of a flowering plant, comprising the stigma, style, and ovary. Laugh. Marijuana that is light, airy, fluffy, and difficult to trim. Premature, tiny, and/or buds lacking density. Crow's feet. The portion of the cola that contains 2 stems coming off of the main stem, creating the illusion of crow's feet or handlebars. Commercial facilities want these removed for aesthetic purposes, making buds that look retail ready. Scissor resin finger hash. When wet, dry trimming, the residual build-up from plant matter and trichomes. This resin can make trimming difficult. You will have to wipe off your scissors with a razor blade or alternate pair of shears to continue trimming at times. Alcohol and alcohol pads come in handy to remove build-up. It will be sticky. Cola. A cola or bud site is the part of a cannabis plant where the flowers or buds grow together tightly. In plant physiology, this is known as the terminal bud. Healthy plants usually form one main cola from the center of the branching structure, with smaller colas forming around the outside of the stem. Training and pruning techniques, like topping, can be used to increase the amount of larger sized colas that a plant will form. Plant ailments and disease to be aware of. Botrytis, commonly referred to as bud rot, usually first attacks marijuana plants from the inside of dense buds a few weeks before harvest. Because this infection begins near the stem, it can be difficult to detect until it is well established. The first sign of botrytis is a single leaf protruding from the cola that begins to wither and dry out. Infection looks like grey, white or blue-greenish with mold growing on the inside of the flower. Bud rot can even decompose the inside of the bud and turn it into a slimy substance. Botrytis can infect and spread and has been known to ruin an entire harvest if not detected. High humidity levels are breeding grounds for bud rot. Botrytis has a wet, old scent. Bud rot will attack leaves, stems, and seedlings. Even dried and stored marijuana is not safe and should be inspected and fluffed regularly. If outbreak is unnoticed, it can destroy a whole garden in less than a week. Powdered mildew, commonly referred to as PM. It is a fungal disease that affects a wide range of plants. This disease is caused by many different species of fungi. It is one of the easier ailments to spot as the symptoms are very distinctive. Infected plants display signs of white powdery spots on the leaves and stems. Once spores form, the plant can become easily infected and spreading is imminent if not treated immediately, which can sometimes be difficult to contain. The powdered spots get larger and denser with conditions, and they grow well in environments that are high in humidity with moderate temperatures. To the untrained eye, PM can be mistaken for trichome content. Don't be fooled. Garden pests. Spider mites. They generally live on the undersides of leaves where they spin protective silk webs. They cause damage by puncturing the plant cells to feed. Spider mites are known to feed on hundreds of species of plants, including marijuana. Mites are less than a millimeter in size and vary in color. They lay small, spherical, initially transparent eggs while spinning silk webbing to protect their colonies from predators. Mites are difficult to get rid of as they reproduce fast. One mite can infest a whole grove. Aggressive spider mites can infest an entire garden by covering buds and webbing. Natural predators that eat mites are ladybugs and praying mantis. Aphids, plant lice. Aphids, also known as plant lice, are among the most destructive insect pests on cultivated plants in temperate regions. These winged pests hide on the bottom portion of leaves, giving birth to up to 12 offspring per day. Aphids suck the leaves dry of nutrients, causing them to turn yellow and wilt. They can transmit viruses from plant to plant, resulting in stunted growth and the delay of flower production. Some aphid species are capable of injecting toxins into plants. The result is crop reduction. Broad mites or hemp russet mites. Broad mites and hemp russet mites on your cannabis leaves are so tiny they are practically impossible to spot with the naked eye, and still very difficult to see under a microscope. Broad mites are more common than hemp russet mites, but the symptoms and treatment are pretty much the same for both. With broad mites or russet mites, the new growth may be twisted, blistered, and wet-looking. If your plant is flowering, the buds may turn brown and die. Fungal gnats. The larvae of fungal gnats feed on the plant's roots and fungi. This aids in the decomposition of organic matter. The adults are 2 to 5 millimeters long, and it is well documented that they carry disease on their feet. This, in turn, aids in infecting plants. These gnats have a tendency to stick to resin on marijuana leaves and colas, making them a difficult adversary to defeat. Once they are stuck, it is difficult to remove from wet or dried cannabis. When to harvest. Harvesting is the last step for cultivation. Certain indicators of plants being ready to harvest are large visible crystals called trichomes on the buds and sugar leaves. Large bud sites and beginning stages of browning fan and sugar leaves also signal a plant's readiness. The quickest and most simple way to determine maturity is by examining the pistils or hairs that cover the buds of the plants. At the onset of flowering, these pistils are white and stringy. As the flowering period comes to an end and they mature, color changes begin. First from white to orange, then to dark red or brown. These changes signify the maturation and ripening of the buds. The color and time frame will vary significantly across the variety of strains. Steps to harvest. Harvesting entails removing large fan leaves from the plant. The industry term is known as defanning. You do not cut buds, as that will be done at a later time after the drying process begins. The idea is to remove large fan leaves while leaving full sugar-leafed buds intact. Cut the stalk down to be hung so that the drying process and curing process may begin. Defanning. All plants will be weighed before trimming begins, meaning after plant is cut down, intact, weight is recorded. Plants are then defanned, meaning fan leaves are removed and plant is broken down. Most stem is removed as well as the larger leaves. The idea is to remove most water-retained plant parts so the drying process begins. Remember, all weight from stems, flower and trim is recorded, so save it. Defanning can be done during the vegetative state, pre-flower state, or the flowering period. Defan plant and remove all leaves that are longer and dark green. Remember, fan leaves are large with protruding stems and no sugar. It is easier to defan when the plant is wet and still standing. However, each location varies in process. Some facilities will hang-cut plants upside down, and leaves may be removed then. Hand trimming wet. Wet trimming is done once the plants are harvested and defanned. The plant will still be fresh and wet. Trim buds tight or loose, depending on facility, by holding stem and trimming all non-sugar leaves. Leave buds on stems so they can be hung and dried. Wet plants will be given to trim fully intact. Tightly trimmed buds still attached to stem. Make sure to not cut into bud. Again, remove any leaves that contain no trichomes or sugar. Once fan leaves are removed and buds are trimmed, leave on stem to be hung to dry. Hand trimming dry. Product will be either broken into notched stem pieces or whole dried plants still completely intact. The plants have had days to dry. At this point, all buds will be trimmed tight and removed from stems. There should only be nugs left as finished product. Once buds are removed from stem, tightly trim buds to a professional standard, meaning something you would want to buy. Look out for handlebars or crow's feet to make sure finished dry trimmed product is retail ready. Remember, if you are more comfortable trimming on the stem first, feel free. Do not cut into bud. Follow the natural flow of growth. If you see sugar, leave it. Remove all visible stems, remove crow's feet, make sure sugar buds are larger than a fingernail. Cut as close to stems as possible so that they do not stick out. End product should be tightly trimmed with no stems visible, looking retail ready. Commercial processing of cannabis is composed of harvesting, trimming, drying, curing, and finally, packaging. For packaging circumstances, it is imperative to know weights for retail. Consumers purchase product according to the following weights. Cannabis metrics. 1/16 of an ounce equals 1.75 grams. 1/8 of an ounce equals 3.5 grams. 1/4 ounce equals 7 grams. 1/2 ounce equals 14 grams. 1 ounce equals 28 grams. 1 pound equals 448 grams. Additional terms for marijuana licensed facilities. OPC, Optional Premises Cultivation. Marijuana Optional Premises Cultivation, facility which grows, harvests and processes raw marijuana product to sale in retail centers or for use in infused products. Cultivation facilities may provide their raw product to marijuana centers or MIPs wholesale or be identically licensed, attached. Facilities may cultivate medical marijuana alongside retail with proper licensure. MIP, Marijuana Infused Products. Medical Marijuana Infused Product Manufacturer, MMIP. Facility which provides medical marijuana infused products such as edibles, tinctures, beverages, concentrates, and topical treatment. These facilities are only able to sell their products to licensed medical marijuana centers wholesale. Marijuana cannot be lawfully cultivated with this license or within this facility's premises. MMC, Medical Marijuana Center. Retail operation from which medical marijuana registry and recreational patients purchase medical marijuana and medical marijuana infused products. Other courses or certifications to consider. Bud Tending 101. This class will cover the differences between strains indica, sativa, hybrid, customer service basics, how to upsell, learn compliance laws and basics, enhance your knowledge of tinctures, topicals, edibles, wax, shatter, oil and more. Grasp and understand patients' and customers' needs while being able to recommend products. POS systems in dispensaries. This class will cover learn to navigate and excel in POS software, from adding a new patient to updating inventory. Learn how to check in customers to checking out a guest. This class will cover the ins and outs of POS systems to get you ready to work in a dispensary. Hands-on scenarios to ensure your understanding.